Doctor Strange 45. This was an awesome little horror story. And the colors, the cover is absolutely fantastic. And I've said this before, and I will say it again. I miss when the interior artist was also the cover artist, because it gave you an idea of what kind of artwork you're going to get inside the book, as well as just that little thing of you get some idea of what's happening. Now, where was it, like the new Batman Deadpool? If I looked at it correctly, there was 42 variant covers. Unnecessary. That, from a collector's standpoint, that's financially not a good idea. And just, I don't know. I don't know. That's just me, though. This says, attacked in his own home, the master of the mystic arts must face the demon in the dark. That just grabs you and it makes you want to read what's going to happen in the Sanctum Sanctorum. And we open it up, The Wizard of the West Village. The print date on this was February 1981, I believe. This is the second volume of Doctor Strange. This is Chris Claremont writing, Gene Colan and D. Hands artists. Now, I had to look up what D. Hands meant. I was like, who's D. Hands? And so apparently, whenever they put D. Hands or something like that, that meant it was numerous people that added. So if you go look at the wiki, I forgot to grab my list, but there's like 4 or 5 other people helping with the inks on this book. So that's what D. Hands means. So that was just a cool little tidbit that I learned. This is Jim Novak doing the lettering, and then I'm not sure who Gaff is. If y'all know the first name, let me know. He is the colorist. Joe Duffy, editor. Jim Shooter, editor-in-chief. So lots of big names on this book. This is the New York Daily Globe, a paper with a long, proud history, and the prestigious awards to prove it. Yet for all that, the Globe has never been a particularly successful enterprise. Its new management means to change that. Anyway, they can. I am Dr. Stephen Strange. What is the meaning of this? As you can see here, police call Dr. Strange on ritual murders. And so we can see that this is one of those, I guess you could say, faux Esquire type magazines where they make up stuff without any citations and whatnot, or sources. That's the word I'm looking for. Unlike the Daily Bugle. So we can kind of see the need to fight against J. Jonah Jameson. But Stephen Strange is one hot little potato. Mr. Starrett, I was informed that you are the person responsible for this piece of character assassination. You were informed correctly, Doctor. What's your beef? Don't you like the art? Me neither. What did you say? Really, there was supposed to be a pretty girl lying dead at your feet, but we had to cut her for space reasons to run the election story. You should have heard the artist scream. And he's just going on, and Steven's saying, this is not right, blah, 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 blah. He goes, score one for you. What zinger? Wasn't half bad. Any other gripes? Because you're wrong. You know, every word in that piece is true. The Globe will stand by its story. After all, the Fuzz did question you, didn't they? At great length. As a consultant, an expert in occult lore, not the suspected murderer. I know the story mentions that. On page 44, 48, next to the last paragraph. You're fighting a hopeless battle with us, Doc. No matter how hard you try, you won't. You can't win. Here, join me in a belt of scotch. It'll make you feel better. Ah, the 80s. But anyway, right off the bat, you can see that Steven is not happy with this dude. And this guy, Starrett, he's going to do whatever he can to prove that Doctor Strange is a murderer. So Starrett watches Doctor Strange leave the Globe City room, then reaches for his phone. And moments later, in an upper floor Greenwich Village apartment, conveniently located directly across the street from Strange's townhouse, another phone rings. Tiny studio is crammed with the finest and sophisticated electronic equipment. The 2 men living here have been keeping Doctor Strange under close observation for Starrett for weeks. I just love how it says the finest in electricity or electronics, and you look at it and you're like, oh, looking back at that now, that does not really. Anyway, you can see that these guys really want to slander Strange. and they want to get in the house. So this guy, I don't know his name off the top of my head, but he pretends he's from the telephone, and Wong's like, "This is most irregular. Ours seems in perfect working order." "Hey, pal, I got my orders." "Very well then, please follow me." Bingo. I knew my fake Ma Bell ID would come in handy someday. And then, right when we think, he's going to be able to set up whatever he needs, where's that stench coming from? I've never smelled anything like it. That light. What? No. No. So the story. And this is what I loved about writers from this time. Is you're thinking, oh shoot, what's going to happen? But just like with any like TV or medium, there's the A plot and the B plot. So the A plot is what's going on, obviously, in the Sanctum Sanctorum, but to fill pages and to keep the readers engaged, we cut away to the strange meeting. Oh God, what is her name? My brain always just sort of slips. Hold on, Clea. Yeah, if I'm wrong, feel free to make fun of me down in the comments. But anyway, she's meeting Clea. There, where's Clea? They're meeting for dinner. She goes, "I'm still not used to traffic in this city of yours. My taxis seem to take forever. You look beautiful." "I tried my best. Your worst is magnificent, my darling. Your best takes my breath away. Physician, sorcerer, now poet. There's no end to your talent, Stephen." And so you see how much of a smooth talker Stephen Strange is, and it establishes the type of relationship. So again, and I'm a little scatterbrained. Every comic you pick up, your first comic, and it should, in a way, bring you in. So the way that I like what Claremont does here is, if you know nothing about the Sorcerer Supreme, these few pages here establish the Sanctum Sanctorum, Wong, kind of what Stephen Strange is about, him, and then his relationship with Clea. Boom. So right there, you're engaged. You got enough of the story to understand. When you finish this, it makes you wonder, okay, do I want to continue and then get the subsequent issues as well? That is good storytelling. Over their meal, he tells her of his ongoing travails, while she tells him of her day. Normal, innocent, lover's conversation. Yet there's an undertone to Clea's words, part bitterness, part anger, but mostly sorrow, that Strange has been hearing more and more of late. Today, he means to learn of the reason. And then again, we cut back to the Sanctum Sanctorum. So doom, 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 doom. Keeps you engaged again without everything being super boring. I can't remember. It was on TikTok. I wish I could remember the user. And I think he was specifically meaning film. We could have been talking about comics. I don't remember. Anyway, he says, don't do, because when you're reading a book and I think it was comics or a novel. Anyway, he said, we're looking at it through a third person, obviously. So he said, when you create your characters, don't use like regular dialogue that you would just do in normal conversation, because that is going to bore the piss out of your reader. So that needs to be snappy, kind of to the point. He says there's points where there shouldn't even be people coming in the door saying hello, 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 or obviously like going to the bathroom, because who cares? We want enough for the story to breathe, but still keep it boom, 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 moving on to your plot points. So we see Stephen waiting, but he's waiting for a reason, and we see it uses the way to connect him and Clea. So here, as we found out, it says that he's going to mean to find out why Clea sounds so bitter and angry. Now remember, she's sort of like Ileana. She grew up in an alternate dimension, as where Ileana, hers is a little more harrowing. But Clea gives her powers up to come to this world to be with Stephen Strange as a lover and as a disciple to be the Sorcerer Supreme. Says, you've hardly touched your food, Clea. I'm not hungry. Is that all? Must there be more? No, it's not just that. Something seems to be troubling you. I'd like to help if I can, if you'll let me. Help. By the eternal Stephen Strange, you're the cause. And then she storms off, and you kind of get that uncomfortable feeling. And of course, Stephen chases after her. She walks out in the traffic. He grabs her. Now suddenly she cannot stand this place, or what she feels it's doing to her. Stephen. She tries to talk, but no words come. Only hot tears as sobs rack her slim, strong frame. She holds Strange as close, as tightly as she can, and he responds in kind, comforting. And then we finally kind of get that after a very dramatic moment. She goes, I feel ashamed. I'm the firstborn of her, and I cannot pronounce their name. So again, make fun of me down in the comments if you want, but I'm going to try. We're going to stumble through this together. I am the firstborn of the Orani, who is suzerain to the dread Dormammu, ruler of the home dimension. How could I have behaved so poorly? You're only human. I'm not. You, of all people, should know that, Stephen, and realize what that means. I gave up everything to be with you. My position, my power, my father's love. Come what may, I can never go home again. This is hard for me to say. I am a princess with pride that is perhaps is good for me. Stephen, I can no longer remain your disciple. I want to, but I dare not. Too often have I failed to hold my own in a fight, forcing you to divert your power and concentration from your own foe to come to my aid. You depend on me to support you, to take some of the burden from your shoulders. I fear I cannot do so. My sorceress power simply is not strong. And so we see this moral conundrum that Clea is dealing with. And Stephen he's listening as someone who cares about another person should. And he says, there ever was a moment that convinced me that I made the right choice in you as my disciple, Clea. This is it. I understand your feelings. They mirror my own recent doubts about my sorcerer's vocation. And if this is what you truly desire, I will not stand in your way. But don't make a final decision, not just yet. So we establish what her, not her problem, because that sounds very douchey, what her moral conundrum and existential crisis is essentially. And it's a great way to strengthen them. And we see that they kind of reconcile. They go back to the Sanctum Sanctorum, and we see Starret, however you pronounce his name. If you guys hear footsteps, I'm sorry. Anyway, he goes, open up in there, blast you, or I'll call the cops and have them break the door down. We better call the cops before this nutcase hurts himself. You can't keep me out of there forever, Strange. I have no intention of even trying, Starret. Oh, what, pray tell, are you doing? One of my people went in your house hours ago, fella, and he hasn't come out. So here we go into the A plot, both plots coming together. And immediately he enters the sanctum, changes into his uniform. Your clothes. The minute we stepped over this threshold, they changed into that fancy costume. How'd you do that? We start. I have neither the time nor the inclination or the patience to deal with you. I advise you leave now. So he takes off to the basement, and of course Starret doesn't leave. Sure thing, Doc. Anything you say? Not a chance, jerkball. And we open up to this gorgeous splash page. OG, the Marvel Way comic art. And we see that she's trying to help Wong, I cannot remember her name, and then the guy that Starret brought into the basement, along with Wong. Stephen, help me! This monster's dragging me towards it. My powers can't stop it. I, human, speak. As I seize your fellow beings, so shall I seize you. And then, mage of the human world, it will be your turn to fall before the timeless, matchless power of the Nagarai. That pool of liquid fire, I recognize it from my readings. It's the Serapol, mystical gateway to the Nagari dimension. That creature must be one of the old ones, those earthly legends called the Elder Demon Gods. And from here, artwork is fantastic. And it also echoes a lot of what Clea was saying about you worry too much about me when we are in a battle, that you were more concerned about saving me than focusing on the task, which makes me think that I cannot be your disciple. And so through all of this, you did what I feared you would. You thought of me before those others. And so, of course, Wong and his friends, Wong and Stephen's other friends, are turned against him to become puppets of this evil entity. And what's cool, I love how she says, where is it? Maybe I read it wrong when I first read this. Hold on. Where is it? She uses the chains of Krakan. I could have sworn when he uses a certain type of binding spell is the... I'll find it. Just wait a minute. Here. I dare not use deadly force against them until I know for certain. I'll bind them with the crimson bands of Sidorak. I was like, huh, I didn't realize how deep the Sidorak lore goes, looking at it this way and compared to what it does to Juggernaut. For those of you that may not know or that are kind of new to comics, the Juggernaut is not a mutant. He found the mystical, is it the bands or his helmet? I can't remember. But anyway, he got some of the mystical things of Sidorak, and that's how he becomes the Juggernaut and why he is so powerful. If you guys would like us to do a deep dive on it, let us know down in the descriptions. But I just love that little bit of lore of X-Men and Avengers and Doctor Strange just intermingling here. But we see how powerful this guy is because the Sidorak bands get deflected back on Steven. And there's only one chance to stop him. And it kind of gets a little funny because it causes Steven to have to abandon Clea for a moment. He has to go back in the house to get a certain sword. But as he gets it, he's like, I'll just, because he's in his corporeal form, he's like, I can't bring it with me, so it's going to have to zip down the stairs. And it almost takes out Starrett. And it's a funny little moment. And of course, the artwork here as they take down the Nagarai, absolutely fantastic artwork. And it leaves Starrett, obviously. I don't want to spoil, but it leaves him running with his tail between his legs. But yeah, guys, melodrama, mystical action, dark themes, lovers' quarrels. That is everything you get here in Doctor Strange issue 45. This is the type of comic book storytelling. This is what a lot of us older cats like myself grew up with. That's why when we read a lot of newer comics and we see kind of the more jokey stuff, like I'm not proud of it, but the X Factor book that I obliterated, where it's like, oh look, I'm eating a power dog, and look at what it's saying on Clip Clop. No, just no, just absolutely no. Comics can be fun, but they don't need to be so meta in that regard. This had some funny moments. It took itself seriously because it's a story, but we're still able to have fun with it and have moments of tension, levity, love, what have you. Everything that you would want in an old school Marvel comic is on display in this book. So if you've enjoyed what you've seen, please first and foremost support your local comic shop, wherever it is like to get your action figures and comics, and pick up this series. I feel like this was definitely. And if you've enjoyed this review, really would appreciate if you take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Helps the channel more than you could possibly know. And if you want to hit that fancy little strange bell, next subscribe. That way we get to upload content. You guys get notified. Come to the channel. Love hearing from you and hearing and speaking to you and hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments or the socials, which I will make sure to leave the links down in the description. Now, little announcements. I've been asked, and I appreciate this so much. Instagram, Facebook, Action Figure Maniacs, AFM Comicverse has asked me to help moderate the page and continue engaging with the community. So, a lot of the shorts that you guys see that I make that are comic related will be over on the Instagram page and the Facebook page. So, guys, please make sure to go support that community. They're doing a lot of excellent things with all things pop culture. You can find a lot of my content over there. So with all that said, hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading. Happy hunting, everyone.